Edition of Front Office Sports today. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
8 3-minute rounds. The gloves are 10 ounces. And Anthony Joshua weighs like 250 pounds. So I'm not really sure how this is going to end up happening. But this is one of those. Normally, I don't give credit to the Paul brothers. And, I give them credit for being great on social media and creating a lot of buzz for the sport. I give him credit for getting in the round with Anthony Joshua. This is not like a Mike Tyson fight when Tyson's 60 years old.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Travion Henderson and a few others have the Pats at 9-2. Is excellence back in New England, Joe?
Excellence is back in a big way. Mike Vrabel came back into town. Drake May has come out of his shell, and Travion Henderson has come out of, I don't know where he was. He was in obscurity, but he had 3 touchdowns on Thursday night.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's take a look at a couple of narratives here and play a good game of fade or not fade. And first up, well, the idea that the Chiefs are going to put it all together and win the AFC West, well, that's absolutely gone. Absolute fade from this point on, Donnie, with the Chiefs. Their 10-year reign is over. It's done with.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
We're hot. It is Game Time Decisions. Happy to have you with us here on a Tuesday night. This is a huge Tuesday in the sports world, specifically the college scene. Kevin Walsh with you from the Decisions Desk on SportsGrid. We are locked and loaded for a college basketball slate that is one of the best we will see all season long. 3 ranked versus ranked matchups. It begins with the defending champion Florida Gators looking to stun an unbeaten Duke Blue Devils, who have the National Player of the Year favorite in freshman Cam Boozer. Florida, my pick to win this year's title against Duke, my pick to win last year's title. Boy, does it feel like I could have gone and reversed those and things would have been perhaps a much better, a great game to follow. Kansas will host UConn as a slight home dog. No Darren Peterson still for Kansas. There was some buzz he might play in this game. I never thought that was possible, not even from a doctor perspective. I've kind of wondered, will we see Darren Peterson again? It still feels very unknown right now in Jayhawks country. We'll break that game down. We do have one of our team's best bet coming from that game. Kentucky, North Carolina, Wildcats need it. Mark Pope's group has done a nice job dominating bad teams, but they've played a pair of ranked teams in Louisville and Michigan State and have lost both handily. They need to step up here against North Carolina. We'll see if they can get it. The college football world has a very important night, and the odds will shift as we get the second to last rankings from the committee and how they see this at-large field that is large. It is larger than last season. We are further down these rankings than I think many people had anticipated. And markets will move, whether that be Notre Dame, Miami, Vanderbilt. You will see a shift based on what the committee decides. We will talk about what to watch for tonight. I know there are some people who hate this show. I am one of them. It shouldn't be a thing. We should not have the committee beholden to a ranking week after week after week. It's where we are. But it doesn't mean it's not important, because they are still going to play off of last week's rankings. One of the key things to watch for, the 8th spot. Just factoring in the field, the at-large. If you are between 1 and 8 tonight, I believe you are 100% in the college football playoff. Anyone lower than that will have to worry heading into next Saturday's conference championship games. Those lines are out and available, and we will be taking a look at those throughout the week. But as always, on a Tuesday night, we take a look towards next week in the NFL with the help of our guy, Brady Cannon. And we have some really important games, especially on Sunday, to work through. Buffalo hosting a Cincinnati Bengals team. That feels completely different with Joe Burrow back. Baltimore hosting Pittsburgh, appropriately, a little round-robin tournament, as the Ravens need this win to potentially keep their spot as favorites in the AFC North. A lot of pressure on Lamar Jackson to play well. It's been a long time since it feels like Lamar Jackson has looked like Lamar Jackson. And an AFC South battle between the Colts and the Jaguars, where the winner will be priced as the favorite to win this division. Indy, currently the favorite in the game, and therefore currently the favorite in the AFC South. We will also be taking a look at the NBA slate tonight. It is a Tuesday, so King of the Court will be calling. There are, heading into tonight, 6 games for you to look at. Some of the top options from King of the Court: Tyrese Maxey, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, maybe a little Denny Adjvia, Jalen Brunson. My best bet tonight will come from the King of the Court slate, if you will. We will talk about that momentarily. You might want to look at the ice tonight, perhaps, as we do have ourselves, as usual, a pretty loaded up slate on a Tuesday. Avs are in action at home against the Canucks. They're a huge minus 350 range favorite. Edmonton and Connor McDavid will go again at home against Minnesota. You also earlier have a nice one between Florida and Toronto. It's the Maple Leafs, a slight road dog. I figured we'd do some best bets off the top. We're going to do a full college basketball card in our next segment, 7 different picks for me. That's going to kind of take place for Kevin's 7 this week. Will be that college basketball card, because there are 7 games that I lined up on. We have Coach James Young stopping by at the top of the hour. It'd be great to get Coach in, his thoughts on the NBA, the college basketball. It's a busy night, undoubtedly. So let's put some best bets on the board. AJ's going to go to the world of the college basketball game. No surprise. Shout out Middle Tennessee. A nice winner there for him last night on that money line. He's going to go again with Notre Dame. It's the ACC-SEC Challenge. ND at home against Missouri is the best bet. Yarnell goes to Cam Whitmore. Another shout out for a best bet winner from him. I just realized we swept. Love that. Over 2.5 sacks. Pats Giants looks to stay hot with Cam Whitmore. 17.5 points in bounds. As Cam Whitmore and the Wizards look to get hot. On a massive 1-game win streak. We'll see if they can make it, too. Chris goes to Kansas UConn. A best bet winner for him last night. How about that? Little first-half team total Pats. That was as good of a best bet as you'll see. It was 13.5. They had 17 at the end of the first quarter. He's on an over, UConn, Kansas. I will say this, little spoiler. I didn't bet UConn, Kansas. I didn't have a good read for that game. I really didn't. It didn't jump off the card. I don't know. There's a part of me, it's like, it's Kansas at home. I do think this UConn team is very good. I think they're better than Kansas. I think Hurley's got his guys focused. I didn't have a great read for the total. Chris likes the over. We'll root it in. My King of the Court tonight, and therefore best bet on this slate. And actually, yes, I did as well win my best bet. My disgraceful best bet won in disgraceful fashion with a punt return touchdown. cashing the over total touchdown yardage. Give me Scotty Barnes, 35 PRA. He's going to probably need more 45, if not 50, to win King of the Court. But I'm going to take the long shot, see if we can collect a big-time bonus bet here. Scotty's in a bounce-back spot. So are the Raptors, right? This team got smashed by the New York Knicks on Sunday, 116-94. Scotty left that game with 18, 5, and 4. Snapped a 3-game double-double streak. The scoring's been on the rise as well. He had 18 in an overtime game that they played against the Hornets. I think you're going to see a really focused Toronto group here as they get ready for the next round of Cup play. I think the Raptors are ready to go, and I think that means Scotty Barnes is ready to go here as well. So give me his over points, rebounds, and assists. One quick thing. The best game on the NBA board tonight, in theory, would be Warriors Thunder. It's in Golden State. No Steph. The thing is, the injury report for the Thunder actually looks longer. No Dort, no Hartenstein, no Caruso. That's 2 starters and their 6th or 7th man. And they're still a double-digit favorite. I know it is NFL season, it's college football season. You could argue it's college basketball season. But people are going to pick their heads up mid-January, and they're going to look at the Thunder and then be like, what is going on? I mentioned this yesterday. I mentioned it in passing. I want to reference it again. To win 70 games, OKC is plus 102. 70 games. Outrageous how dominant they are. Full college card next. Game time decision.
When LeBron James decides he's retiring, it is coming with trumpets blaring, Adam Silver by his side, and he is going on a state-by-state, coast-to-coast tour so that everyone can acknowledge how great he was and give him a parting gift and thank him for his amazing contributions to the NBA.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Look at Nikola Jokic. He had kind of gotten himself off to a slow start at the beginning of the year, but that was partially because of that 50-point game that Aaron Gordon had, or it was the Jamal Murray had a big game. But these last 6 or 7 games, he's been putting up video game stats. His 62.8% from the floor would be the best in, I think, 3 or 4 years.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
It's stunning to think that, right? And I had the over on the win total, or going into the year with the Patriots, was 8.5. I thought they could win 10 games. They've already won 10 games. And that is a stunning turnaround, to go from worst to first here. And they're not the only team that could do it. The Jaguars could do it too. They are right on that precipice here if they handle their business against the Titans the next couple weeks and, at least split between the Indianapolis Colts those 2 games.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions live here on a Tuesday night. It is a great night of college basketball, and I wanted to get in the mix. Didn't want to force too much. Didn't really have to. I ended up with a clean 7-play card. That's going to take place of today's Kevin 7 college basketball card. I think it works out perfectly. I think a lot of you out there are probably most excited to be betting this college basketball slate tonight. And we are still in the stretch of the season. I know, look, there's some people out there who don't pay as much attention. But to this portion of it all, things are moving a lot. You know, Michigan and their run in the Players Era Festival not only moved them to, number one on KenPom, they're co-favorites with Purdue. Just how dominant that team looked over there. We've seen teams gain steam like UConn, like Gonzaga. We've seen teams drop off like Kentucky, like Kansas. And these are going to be things that continue to shift throughout. And I want to just, remind people of that. If you love betting on college basketball, don't just throw these games away. So let's start this off with Iowa and Michigan State. We have, along with the ACC SEC Challenge, the Big Ten's given us some conference games tonight. Number one, Purdue's actually in action tonight. Locally, though, they're playing Rutgers, so you guys know what that means. I'm not betting the game. I'm not capping the game. I'm sorry, but it's just nonsense. Like, we can't get involved because the game's here, so I'm not involved. It is what it is. I am involved with Michigan State and Iowa, a couple of 7-0 basketball teams. For Sparty, they have two really good wins on the resume already, having beat North Carolina and Kentucky. But what really worked out for Michigan State in that game was three-point shooting. They shot it at better than 50% from beyond the arc in each of those basketball games. That's obviously not going to sustain. But what compounded those victories is how poorly both Kentucky and North Carolina shot it from beyond the arc. Kentucky shot it 7 of 30, UNC 4 for 23. While Iowa's very slow, they're very good offensively. If you remember, they brought over the Drake coach, which means they brought over Bennett Sturtz, who was one of the better players on that Drake team. He's their lead man. But overall, Iowa can shoot it really well. I was tempted to just play the Hawkeyes, but I don't want to deal with some of the hotness that is this Michigan State shooting right now. I also don't want to factor it in, though, to a full over. Iowa team total over is how my college basketball card begins at 63.5. Tennessee and Syracuse, as we now get into this challenge here. The Vols, to me, are a little underranked at 13. I understand all that loss to Kansas wasn't great, but Tennessee has been impressive early season. The win over Houston, I thought, was impressive. Jacoby Gillespie is living up to some of the early season hype that people who love college basketball had placed around him. Nate Amencha, obviously, the potential to be a top 5 draft pick. The defense is still there for Barnes. They play with a little more pace. I think they could smash Syracuse. These teams actually have a ton of common opponents because of the Players Era Festival. And I know Cuse was able to hang with the Kansas overtime with the Houston, but you saw how that caught up to them. They got smashed by Iowa State. I think you get a dialed-in UT, and they win this game by 8 or more tonight against Syracuse. I'm going to take the 8.5 with Florida. Missed that. Are we up to 9.5 now? You can tell all of my conviction here with this Gators team. They're a little frustrating early season. Some loose 9.5s out there, more expensive 9s. Listen, I'm fine with it, though. No, there are some pretty clean 9.5s out there. Look, nevertheless, I played 8.5 at even money. I think Florida's pace is the difference in this game. I think they have enough size to stop Boozer from just absolutely running roughshod over them. And here's the reality with Duke. If you look right now at their Boozer, I think Boozer is carrying the perception of this team. Opening game, they play Texas. They're not that great. It's a 1-point Texas halftime lead. Kansas was a battle the whole game. And then all of a sudden, of course, as I played Kansas, Duke ends up covering. Arkansas had a second-half lead at 1 point against Duke. So we have seen Duke look vulnerable. Now, I understand tonight's game is at home, Cameron Indoor. That might feel like a different level. Of early season matchups, if you're trying to need it, Florida, who lost a game to TCU, needs it. They need a statement here. I think they might win this game. I took them plus 8.5, and I really believe this is their spot. I'm on a player prop in Kentucky, North Carolina. I struggled with this game back and forth side total. I love Caleb Wilson over rebounds, though. Caleb Wilson has only played one pacey team. That was Radford. He went out there and had 14 rebounds in 22 minutes. If you look at Caleb Wilson and those rebounding numbers in a game where he projects to play well over 30 minutes, I think he gets to 10 boards comfortably over the 9.5, 10 plus 135. It's a really nice number. I think you'll see plenty of opportunities for Wilson in that game against Kentucky tonight. These are now non-ranked, but still within this ACC-SEC challenge. Give me Oklahoma's team total over 76.5. I think OU has already had themselves a good test of a faster-paced basketball team that can defend in Gonzaga. They just couldn't get threes to fall. I think they fall tonight against Wake. Wake's a tricky basketball team. I'm not going to get involved with their side. Give me the OU team total over. I'm going to lay it with Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going to play Miami. Ole Miss is home. Ole Miss has lost 2 in a row. Chris Beard is a pedigree coach in Oxford. Ole Miss could use a little lift, couldn't they? Chris Beard, I think, gives it to them against Miami. And then lastly, it's almost a principal play. Over 174.5, Florida State, Georgia. These are 2 top 10 teams in pace in the country. Give me over 174.5 in Florida State and Georgia. That's your Kevin 7. That's my college basketball card. That is where things sit right now. Speaking of top 10 teams in tempo, Iona won yesterday. Shout out them. Speaking of college basketball teams that don't matter much at today's slate, George Mason, Cornell, they are playing. Who cares? Sam likes the over. He made me say it. College football playoff rankings talk next.
When LeBron James decides he's retiring, it is coming with trumpets blaring, Adam Silver by his side, and he is going on a state-by-state, coast-to-coast tour so that everyone can acknowledge how great he was and give him a parting gift and thank him for his amazing contributions to the NBA.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Look at Nikola Jokic. He had kind of gotten himself off to a slow start at the beginning of the year, but that was partially because of that 50-point game that Aaron Gordon had, or it was the Jamal Murray had a big game. But these last 6 or 7 games, he's been putting up video game stats. His 62.8% from the floor would be the best in, I think, 3 or 4 years.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
It's stunning to think that, right? And I had the over on the win total, or going into the year with the Patriots was 8.5. I thought they could win 10 games. They've already won 10 games. And that is a stunning turnaround, to go from worst to first here. And they're not the only team that could do it. The Jaguars could do it too. They are right on that precipice here if they handle their business against the Titans the next couple weeks and, at least split between the Indianapolis Colts those 2 games.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Back right here on SportsGrid, Game Time decisions. The college football playoff rankings will begin in about 5 or so minutes. We will have a full reaction here on the show tonight. We will likely do that about probably like 7:10. All right, because we want to get Coach James Young in. We want his action tonight, college hoops, NBA, so we're going to do that. What I want to let people know, though, is what you need to look for tonight's college football rankings. Because, again, you don't have to like the show. I don't like the show. It shouldn't be a thing. It is, and it matters. It 100% matters. Here is the college football playoff bracket entering into tonight. Now, one thing with this bracket is they've continuously put Miami in terms of the ACC placement, but we know they can't represent the conference via a conference championship game. I just wonder if, as they do it, they will move that around, and they should. What you are looking for tonight at the bottom, okay? Do they rank JMU? James Madison has been ignored by the committee, which has been a complete difference than the AP poll the entire way. JMU in the AP poll and the coaches poll is 19th, ranked higher actually than North Texas and Tulane. Of those G5 teams, only Tulane is ranked. Why does this matter for JMU? If you are ranked tonight, you will be ranked ahead of Duke. If Duke wins the ACC championship game, if JMU wins the Sun Belt, JMU's going to the college football playoff. Now, if they don't rank JMU tonight, I think things get weird. All of a sudden, Duke, instead of being a 5-loss team, is an 8-win team who won a conference and beat a top 20 or so team in Virginia through the committee's eyes. That's one thing to look for at the bottom. At the top, how far do they drop A&M after their loss to Texas? Bye weeks last year were not helpful, but some of that was the structure. First of all, Arizona State and Boise had byes. That was a mess. We did away with that immediately. Georgia had a bye and a backup quarterback. Oregon had a bye. They ended up playing the national champion, Ohio State, who just got on an absolute heater. I think byes could matter more this year. Something I'm trying to remember as I break down the college football playoff when we get there. Ohio State and Indiana, I believe, have already secured 2 of the byes. The loser, I think, is going to stay in the top 4. Georgia, with a win, should get it. You would think, right? But if they lose, if Texas Tech wins, do they have it? Does Texas Tech need help to get one? Is it Oregon? Is it Ole Miss? Is A&M still in range? These are the questions that you're looking for at the top. The middle is where all this interest is, right? These at-large bids, Notre Dame, Alabama, Miami, Oklahoma, BYU, Vanderbilt, Texas. The most important thing tonight is getting up to 8. If you are 8 or higher, you're safe. 1 through 8 can write their ticket to the playoff. Because we are waiting to see what happens with BYU and Alabama, who, if they win their conference championship games, are in 100%. And if they win those games, right, and none of them are ranked inside the top 8, which they don't project to be, you will then have BYU, Bama, the winner of the American Championship game, and then either the ACC champion or JMU. And those are the final 4 spots, and it'll be the front 8 who are in. So being 8 tonight is incredibly important. I honestly think Notre Dame is going to jump Oklahoma. I think the committee now feels like they have a gluttony of SEC teams, and I think they're going to actually move Notre Dame up after OU struggled against LSU. And then, if you are these other teams that are at-large hopefuls but aren't playing in a conference championship game, which would be Texas, Vanderbilt, Miami, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, you can't be in the bottom 2. You're drawing dead. You are drawing dead if you are. No matter what happens, you are not getting in. Limited spots. Can't wait to watch it play out. We'll break it down here tonight on SportsGrid. But first, the coach, James Young.
when LeBron James decides he's retiring, it is coming with trumpets blaring, Adam Silver by his side, and he is going on a state-by-state, coast-to-coast tour so that everyone can acknowledge how great he was and give him a parting gift and thank him for his amazing contributions to the NBA.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Look at Nikola Jokic. He had kind of gotten himself off to a slow start at the beginning of the year, but that was partially because of that 50-point game that Aaron Gordon had, or it was the Jamal Murray had a big game. But these last 6 or 7 games, he's been putting up video game stats. His 62.8% from the floor would be the best in, I think, 3 or 4 years.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
It's stunning to think that, right? And I had the over on the win total, or going into the year with the Patriots, was 8.5. I thought they could win 10 games. They've already won 10 games. And that is a stunning turnaround, to go from worst to first here. And they're not the only team that could do it. The Jaguars could do it too. They are right on that precipice here if they handle their business against the Titans the next couple weeks and, at least split between the Indianapolis Colts those 2 games.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
All right, live right here on SportsGrid, we are going to react to the College Football Playoff Committee's unveiling within the next 10 minutes here on SportsGrid. I want to remind everybody my college basketball card tonight, because some of these are 7 o'clock games. This is what the Kevin 7 is tonight. It's the college basketball card. Coming up is the Iowa team total over against Michigan State at 63.5. And then we've got Tennessee, and we're going to lay 7.5 with UT in that one. And then an Oklahoma team total over 76.5. Those are the 7 o'clock starts there. Florida plus 8.5 is a 7:30 start. We are not only, though, we're not just going to sit here and wait, because who knows when they're actually going to unveil it. I am sure it is going to be soon. We want to get you more. That's why our guy, Coach James Young, is here. JY, it is great to see you, my man. Let me just start with this. I know you're locked and loaded on the NBA. Any college action for you? Anything you're watching for on tonight's slate?
Yeah, I want to say that really off the top. I think it's a little bit 8 o'clock. Purdue at Rutgers. Steve Pikiell's kind of gone back to his old ways, which is really slow down the ball and lean on defense. So I do think Rutgers was really weird and really good at the rack. I think 13.5 points is way too many points to give them. I think RU may find a way to cover that spread. In regards to the other games, UConn-Kansas is intriguing to me. UConn only laying 1.5. Listen, at the end of the day, Dan Hurley's team have had a loss last week. They should be in an absolute foul mood tonight. And I just look at a team like Kansas and say, are they a top 25 team without Peterson? I think that's something that we need to talk about. They struggle to score at times. And to me, you can look at this as if Kansas loses at home, they could be ranked outside the top 25. When was the last time we said that about Rock Chalk Jayhawk?
Yeah, it's a great point, JY. You and I wondering when we see Darren Peterson. I was a little surprised.
I don't think he comes back.
JY, there's a lot of chatter today. That was surprising. I know. Listen, it's going to be one that we follow. I want to get to your NBA card tonight, though, because you're going to carry the load a little bit for us here on the show as it relates to the NBA slate here, which is great. From a sides perspective, Coach, any lean on this matchup between the Knicks and the Celtics?
Yeah, I'm taking the Knicks on the money line. Listen, New York has not been good on the road. It's been well documented. I think the Knicks only have 1 loss, I do believe, at home. But this is a big spot for a Knicks team that I think, Kevin, is starting to find their way, right? I think before the season, I was all about Mitchell Robinson starting with Cat. They've been a lot better since Mitch has came off the bench. By the way, always look at Mitchell Robinson props. If that rebound prop is about 7.5, I would run to the window with Big Mitch because I think of the fact that this guy is, I think, may lead the NBA or be up in the NBA for rebounds per minute. So take a look at Mitchell Robinson's rebounds prop. But for the Knicks tonight, I like them on the money line tonight versus the Celtics.
JY, another side that I see catching your attention is the Spurs as they play, I believe, the Grizzlies tonight. What is standing out to you in that game?
Well, when you look at the Grizzlies have come off 3 straight wins. But Kevin, those 3 wins were against teams that were absolutely awful. So I think that's something that I'm looking at. Obviously, you know that no Victor Wembanyama, but obviously no Stephon Castle. But other guys are back, including Dylan Harper. When you look on the other side with Memphis, Brandon Clark out, Ty Jerome out, John Morant out, Scottie Pippen Jr. out. And I just look at this team in San Antonio, 5-2 against the spread the last 7 games. Only the time they play this year, San Antonio by 10. Games at home. I know it's Wemby. I think they have enough of other players because I really think, Kevin, in my heart, this team can legitimately play 9 guys. Yes, I know maybe number 1 and number 3 are out, but I think they're underselling some of the other guys. Give me the Spurs minus the points tonight.
All right, Joe, a couple of props for you in a matchup between Philly and what I labeled a red-hot Wizards team. They're on a 1-game win streak, JY. You got to give them credit while we can. What do you like here in this game between the Sixers and the Wizards?
Every time I hear you said that, I think of Lou Brown in Major League. We went 2 in a row. That's what they call a winning streak. But they're on the second leg of a back-to-back. So I'm going to go with Devi Avdija over 24. I'm sorry, Bud Carrington. Sorry, wrong game. Bud Carrington over 3.5 assists. Yes. Over 3 of the last 4 games, Sixers are 28th in assists per game allowed to point guards with a 73% hit rate to the over for point guards in the last 10 games. Bud Carrington over 3.5 assists. And then Andre Drummond. No Embiid. Last 10 games without Joel Embiid, Andre Drummond over his rebounding prop, 8 out of the last 10 games. Alex Sarr out of the lineup with someone that could possibly get him into foul trouble. Wizards are 29th in rebounds allowed per game to centers and 29th overall. Andre cleans up, plus Wizards on a second leg of a back-to-back has to travel to Philly. I know Washington, Philly, that's a short ride, still getting in there late. I think he gets rebounds. Give me Andre Drummond over 10.5 boards tonight.
You and I have talked about this before. It's very interesting, JY, how Drummond, like the trajectory of his career, of it all, he really is one of the greatest rebounders in the history of the game. It is incredible. It doesn't, if I say that to someone, like, hey, you know Andre Drummond's probably one of the 5 best rebounds we've ever seen. They'd be like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's true, Coach.
No, I mean, this guy is a rebounding machine, and he doesn't need a lot of minutes to get it done. He takes up a lot of space, and his ability to offensive and defensive rebound is unquestioned. And I think he plays in a different era where he's just, honestly, he's just bigger than everybody else. And he's willing to go mix it up. So I think you look at someone like Andre Drummond as one of the best rebounders still in the league. And I think another one is, like I just mentioned, Mitchell Robinson. These are 2 guys coming off the bench where, depending on the matchup and who they're playing, they could give you, literally, Kev, 11 rebounds in 15 minutes. I don't think people understand. That's like crazy talk that we're talking about this. But I think we have to give our flowers to Andre Drummond, a guy that I really do think over the course of his career actually is underrated.
You mentioned the Denny Adjvia play, Coach. They play the Raptors tonight. I took a swing on Scotty Barnes for King of the Court. I think you could make a case for Denny Adjvia. Maybe you will. What do you like here in this spot?
I like Debbie over 24.5 points, over 6 out of his last 10 games. 4 of the last 5 power forwards versus the Raptors have gone over their points prop. Toronto, 22nd in points per game allowed to power forwards. I think normally I would say well, Scotty Barnes may guard Avija. And then I'm like, then you're worried about the lockdown of Scotty Barnes. But I think Scotty Barnes is needed so much on the offensive side that I think you get a shootout on the other side. That's why I like Avija to go over his points prop tonight.
JY, one other question before we let you get out of here on the college game. Boozer, the dominance we've seen early season, is it too early to feel like if he doesn't win Player of the Year, it would be surprising? Because he has been so dominant right now for this Duke basketball team.
He's been absolutely amazing, Kevin, and his ability to rebound and just be a little bit of a different player than his father, Carlos. I think he's the runaway, Player of the Year. You look at Braden Smith. I think surprising on the other side, another freshman. Obviously, the Kingston Fleming's out of Houston is really good.
Yeah.
But the way Duke is, you got to look at him. But it'll be interesting, Kevin, when you get to that draft. 1, 2, 3. I don't know if it's the band's a slam dunk. I think it's going to be based off of need. If a team needs a guard, they're going Peterson. They need a small forward, the Banza. If they need a power forward, it's Boozer. Very interesting how this draft is going to line up for 2026.
Yeah, can't wait to watch it all play out, JY. It's going to be such a fun season. We really appreciate you making some time. You can catch Coach later tonight on In Game Live right here on SportsGrid. We're going to react to the committee's rankings next.
When LeBron James decides he's retiring, it is coming with trumpets blaring, Adam Silver by his side, and he is going on a state-by-state, coast-to-coast tour so that everyone can acknowledge how great he was and give him a parting gift and thank him for his amazing contributions to the NBA.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Look at Nikola Jokic. He had kind of gotten himself off to a slow start at the beginning of the year, but that was partially because of that 50-point game that Aaron Gordon had, or it was the Jamal Murray had a big game. But these last 6 or 7 games, he's been putting up video game stats. His 62.8% from the floor would be the best in, I think, 3 or 4 years.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
It's stunning to think that, right? And I had the over on the win total, or going into the year with the Patriots, it was 8.5. I thought they could win 10 games. They've already won 10 games. And that is a stunning turnaround, to go from worst to first here. And they're not the only team that could do it. The Jaguars could do it too. They are right on that precipice here if they handle their business against the Titans the next couple weeks and, at least split between the Indianapolis Colts those 2 games.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
All right, live on SportsGrid, taking a look at the College Football Committee's moves here. As I said, you don't have to like the show, but it's going to matter. And it did, as the committee made some important decisions here. First decision, JMU ranked. Now at 25. It's not the safest, but it would now be pretty surprising if JMU beats Troy. If UVA loses to Duke, it is not JMU in the college football playoff. Tulane and North Texas, they are aware. They are winning in. Tulane is up to 20. Obviously, they will not be jumped, and North Texas is actually slotted in front of James Madison and would be beating a top 20 team. The winner of the American is in. Virginia, if they win, are in. JMU versus Duke. It looks like we got our answer. Finally, it'll be the Dukes, plural, as opposed to the Blue Devils. The biggest move, the biggest decision came in the middle. Vanderbilt found out their fate first. They were jumped by Texas. Despite having one less loss, they had lost to Texas, and Texas beat A&M. What is interesting, and perhaps what you've seen here a little bit with some of these results, Vanderbilt beat Tennessee on the road. That felt like a great win. Committee dropped Tennessee out. Loses a little bit of luster. Miami at 12 beat Pitt, dominant, ranked Pitt. They drop him out. All of a sudden, it doesn't hold as much weight. The big move the committee made was putting Alabama in front of Notre Dame. Every reason to believe that a victorious BYU is jumping Notre Dame because they're automatically in. Texas Tech falling from 4 to 11 doesn't feel on the board. So now Notre Dame needs BYU to lose in order to be in the playoff. I saw a tweet as reactions are flying from a reputable college football analyst who says if BYU lose, Notre Dame and Miami would be right next to each other. Could be trouble for the Irish. Huh? What? Huh? And Both of their seasons are finished until the playoff. There's no more information coming in. How would Miami jump Notre Dame? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So just keep that in mind. The question is, with the move of Alabama in front of Notre Dame, is Alabama safe if they lose the SEC championship game? Notre Dame and Alabama is obviously close. Notre Dame was in front of them last week. Notre Dame handled Stanford. They did not cover, but they handled the game. Bama played a close one against Auburn. I think there are some who have posited the theory the move to put Bama in front of Notre Dame is to protect Bama from falling out with a loss. Because if Bama loses, they could just drop them to 10, and if BYU has to move up, it's fine. I would imagine Notre Dame, though, could jump Bama. I would think so. If Bama lost to Georgia, it would be a third loss. I know last year we set this precedent that conference championships can't be a knock. I mean, it's a football game. Otherwise, this should just be the final rankings. That's all. That's what we should do. These are the rankings. Next week doesn't matter. That's it. But that's not what we're doing. So Bama should and likely would be evaluated. The question is, if Bama loses, not only can Notre Dame jump them, can Miami jump them? That is the real question. Now, the odds makers have left up the college football playoff pricing. Notre Dame to make it is minus 500. BYU to make it is plus 390. If you look at the game between BYU and Texas, BYU is 4-1 on the money line. BYU is automatically in if they win the game, so that would be the better way to bet there. Yes, Texas Tech is minus 550 to win that game. Seemingly, all Notre Dame would need in order to make the playoff. But again, what happens with Alabama? Odds makers have them at minus 1,200 to make. But it's not closed. It's not locked. As I said, whoever was 8 was in. OU, off the board. Same with A&M, Oregon, Tech, off the board. If Bama loses, could Miami get there? currently priced at plus 760, is Miami. What's interesting, though, is if you were to just put together what Miami needs at minimum, right, is Tech to win and Georgia to win, that's only plus 104. Now, you could say Bama's going to need to lose by more than 1, 2, 3, maybe 7. I don't know. I think that is the biggest question here. Again, simply, if BYU wins and Alabama wins, Notre Dame is out. Notre Dame is out unless they were to drop out Texas Tech. If either BYU or Bama win, Miami is out. If both of them lose, is there room for Miami to move up in the college football playoff rankings? One other thing that perhaps dropped Notre Dame, A&M all the way down to 7. Their loss to Texas all of a sudden seemingly brought a ton of other questions to light for the committee. Ole Miss sits strong at 6. No Lane Kiffin. No problem. In position right now for the college football playoff buys, Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, Texas Tech. The order could change, but if those teams win those games and then the loser of Ohio State, Indiana, those are your buys. Oregon trying to knock on the door. We'll update the live board after the break on SportsGrid.
When LeBron James decides he's retiring, it is coming with trumpets blaring, Adam Silver by his side, and he is going on a state-by-state, coast-to-coast tour so that everyone can acknowledge how great he was and give him a parting gift and thank him for his amazing contributions to the NBA.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Look at Nikola Jokic. He had kind of gotten himself off to a slow start at the beginning of the year, but that was partially because of that 50-point game that Aaron Gordon had, or it was the Jamal Murray had a big game. But these last 6 or 7 games, he's been putting up video game stats. His 62.8% from the floor would be the best in, I think, 3 or 4 years.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
It's stunning to think that, right? And I had the over on the win total, or going into the year with the Patriots was 8.5. I thought they could win 10 games. They've already won 10 games. And that is a stunning turnaround, to go from worst to first here. And they're not the only team that could do it. The Jaguars could do it too. They are right on that precipice here if they handle their business against the Titans the next couple weeks and, at least split between the Indianapolis Colts those 2 games.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Happy to have you guys back here. I want to just say something. I don't ever want to be super mean to like people I don't know who are not trying to upset people. They're just trying to think. But now a second person who, again, a respected college football pundit is like, man, if you're Miami and BYU loses to Tech, you got to imagine right there, you and Notre Dame, You're in. What? What? I don't understand this. Like, aside from, hey, maybe this committee is going to be out of its mind, why would they shift two teams who aren't playing this weekend? I want to add one more thing, because I don't think we've talked about this like a ton on air. Notre Dame, this notion that the committee is in love with them, there's an AP poll voted on by 100 people, and Notre Dame has been in front of Miami with multiple teams in between them for a month. Everyone has just been lying about this whole thing. Okay. Of the top 15 teams in the country, there are 4 total losses to unranked football teams. Miami has half of them. This isn't hard. Yes, Miami beat Notre Dame at home week 1 by 3, but they beat them. And then they played 11 more games. 11 more. And the two teams looked way different. This has been really obvious the entire time. I don't know what we are doing. I really, really don't. I will say this, though. I really am fascinated as to what happens if Alabama loses to Georgia. I've not broken that game down in its entirety. Early lean is Georgia for me. Everyone is it's very interesting, but the notion of a 3-loss team is what kept out Alabama last year. Alabama being a 3-loss team, I do wonder if that hangs over their head. I do. And I think that that's something to consider. I'm going to add this, and it's going to be a little unpopular in the back. I am not trying to attack small schools. But when you increase the field, you don't need to give out charity entries. This is the second year in a row the ACC has made a mess of this auto bid for a conference champion, much less forcing in a G5 contender. If you look at the bracket right now, and let's say chalk holds, Oregon will play North Texas, and Ole Miss will play Virginia, instead of Oregon playing Miami and Ole Miss playing BYU. We are forfeiting better games just so we can get auto bids in for conferences that don't need this representation, because last year Boise State got in on its own merit. The field is still too small to have North Texas take a spot from Texas, when if those teams played, it's a 2.5 touchdown number. People reference college basketball. There are 68 teams that make it now in college basketball. I understand that there's also 350 teams. There's also like 200 awful teams in the country. We're going to talk to Brady Cannon after the break on SportsGrid.
When LeBron James decides he's retiring, it is coming with trumpets blaring, Adam Silver by his side, and he is going on a state-by-state, coast-to-coast tour so that everyone can acknowledge how great he was and give him a parting gift and thank him for his amazing contributions to the NBA.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Look at Nikola Jokic. He had kind of gotten himself off to a slow start at the beginning of the year, but that was partially because of that 50-point game that Aaron Gordon had, or it was the Jamal Murray had a big game. But these last 6 or 7 games, he's been putting up video game stats. His 62.8% from the floor would be the best in, I think, 3 or 4 years.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
It's stunning to think that, right? And I had the over on the win total, or going into the year with the Patriots, was 8.5. I thought they could win 10 games. They've already won 10 games. And that is a stunning turnaround, to go from worst to first here. And they're not the only team that could do it. The Jaguars could do it too. They are right on that precipice here if they handle their business against the Titans the next couple weeks and, at least split between the Indianapolis Colts, those 2 games.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions. We are live on SportsGrid. We're joined by Brady Cannon. Brady, it is great to get you here on a Tuesday night and talk about what is still to come in the NFL season, what we saw last week in the NFL season. Anything really resonate you from Week 13?
I tell you what, there's 2 teams that I think are really good teams, but I don't think they're going to have a shot. They might not even make the playoffs because of injuries. And I think that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Detroit Lions. I think the Lions could arguably be the best team in the NFL, but with all the injuries they have now incurred, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown, it's Sam Laporta. The offensive line is banged up. They tried to bring Ragnow back. He didn't pass his physical. The secondary has really been banged up for probably almost 2 months. And when everybody's healthy, this team can beat anybody in the league. They still can almost beat anybody in the league, but they're not healthy and they might not make it. And I think Tampa Bay is suffering a similar situation. Now, I know Bucky Irving's back, but Mayfield's still hurting. And, there's just too many pieces missing from those 2 puzzles who would likely be division winners if it wasn't for all the injuries.
Yeah, it's just a good point about, how preseason expectations can't prepare for injury. And,
right. Yeah.
Take a look at my Super Bowl pick. Well, I'm now clinging on to hope once again in the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah. And here's the thing. People can call me nuts, but I now have all the evidence I need to tell people that it was absolutely Cincinnati's year in the AFC if it wasn't for Burrow and that pesky foot. But the interesting thing, Brady, is because of the state of the AFC North, they're not dead. They might be on, they might be close to a zombie, but they're not dead. They go to Buffalo, who has been a weird team this year. Is that a game that, you were surprised at all to see the number on?
No, it was pretty darn close to where I had it. I made it 4.5. It opened 5.5. And what's interesting is it was 5.5 over the summer. So over the summer, they were figuring just like you that Joe Burrow was going to be in there. Well, now he is, and it's right where it was. That I thought it was 4.5. I gave the Bengals a little bit more credit than I guess the odds makers are giving them. Yeah, you're right about Buffalo. Now, Buffalo's tough at home typically. and then they laid waste to the Steelers. I thought that was a bad spot for them this week, or rather I should say I thought it was a good spot for Pittsburgh, but boy, this Pittsburgh team, man, I tell you, even when they have a good situation, they really don't show up. I think they're just getting old. I mean, it's not great there in the Steel City. That ought to be a good game, though. It'll be a little bit of a revenge situation if you remember a couple of years ago in the snow when Joe Burrow went into Buffalo and beat the Bills handily. I think the Bills get it done here, but 5.5 feels a little rich to me. It's hard to say, Kevin. The Bengals also have extra rest, but is that an outlier, the defense that showed up on Thanksgiving night against Baltimore for Cincinnati? I mean, come on. Where did that come from? I can't imagine that happens 2 weeks in a row.
It's tough. And, I mean, the books don't expect it when you look at the total, well into the 50s. But the idea is probably Burrow's going to get better as these games go on.
I think that is the best bet in this game. I think both of these offenses are going to pick apart these defenses, and you're going to get a lot of points.
The tricky thing of it all is, you know me, Brady. I love a bit of spread math, compare week over week. We just saw Baltimore lay a touchdown and a half in some spots to this exact Cincinnati team. Is that just a full adjustment to what the books are doing with Cincinnati, or is there any fading of Buffalo, if you will, in that number, or with how do the books view Baltimore still? Tricky game against Pittsburgh. These were a couple of spots, Brady. I was, fingers crossed. Let me get a 7, take the dog. No chance. We're not going to see 7 in either one of these games, Pittsburgh and Baltimore included.
I really don't think there's a whole lot of adjustment, Kevin. I mean, obviously you have to adjust for, Joe Flacco versus Joe Burrow. And I would say that's probably anywhere from a 4 to 6.5 point adjustment. I mean, it's probably, I wouldn't say it's one of the bigger adjustments in the league because Flacco's pretty decent. But Burrow, I mean, what he showed on Thanksgiving night was remarkable. Now, did he make every throw? Was he perfect? No, but boy, he was darn good. I mean, he didn't look like he'd been out for 9 weeks or whatever it was. And he just showed you what he is really capable of. I thought he didn't even have T. Higgins in the lineup. So, Baltimore, I don't think has been adjusted a whole lot. They're still a 6-point favorite. I think it's becoming more and more evident that Pittsburgh is just not that good. And I think the odds makers understand that defense, kind of had a weird performance on Thanksgiving. And we don't necessarily, Joe Burrow doesn't play defense last time I checked. So I don't think there's a whole lot of adjustment here. I think it's basically just a change at quarterback. They kind of know everything. They know what Buffalo is. They know what the Steelers are. They know what the Steelers aren't. And I also think at the same time, they know what the Ravens are capable of. Lamar has not been himself the last few weeks, but we'll see if the Steelers get his attention. When was the last time we saw a Ravens-Steelers game? They talk about how many times this game has been decided by 3 points. It's now twice, so I think that says a lot about how they feel about these two teams.
Yeah, I think you're right, too. It's definitely a reflection on Pittsburgh, who have squandered away an early lead in this division. When they met Baltimore, which for the first time this season, the hope in Pittsburgh was the Ravens will have to beat us in this game to draw even. The Ravens enter the game in first place. I mean, I know they're at the same record, but it's weird though, Brady, because I don't think I can call it a collapse in Pittsburgh, because I'm not surprised that they're losing to teams better than them, because they're not that good. I mean, if you look at their last 4 losses, they were an underdog in every single one of those 4 games, Brady.
Yeah, but those are spots that we typically expect Mike Tomlin to come through and knock one of them off, at least one, right? Yeah. I mean, Mike Tomlin as a home dog throughout his career has always been fantastic. I thought they were going to win last week against Buffalo, but you're right. Every spot that it looks like it's a good situation for the Steelers, they've not been able to come through. And I think, as weird as it is to say when you were talking about head coaches of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I actually think it could be the end of the Tomlin era there. It's not a whole lot has changed. He's been running the same defense for years, but the talent has has subsided substantially. And how many years in a row has it been now that we've seen this team not really be competitive in this division? I bet the Steelers over 8.5 wins, season win total this year. I was looking great, a month ago or so. I don't think I'm going to win it now. They've got to win 3 out of their last 5. I don't know if they can do it.
Yeah, and you look through it here. There was the Indianapolis win, which was there they go. But it's funny as we're talking this out, though, right? This spot then maybe against Baltimore is he finds something in the cauldron, Mike Tomlin, and T.J. Watt gets a pick 6, and this is the whole other bit of it, right? I mean, Lamar Jackson, Brady, we talk about adjusting because Burrow's back. I don't know how odds makers are handling the fact that Lamar Jackson just doesn't look himself now for a month.
How about the fact that you have Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, and you're below average as far as, versus the rest of the teams in the league in the red zone? How can you be below average in the red zone when you have those skill position players, specifically Lamar and Henry? It just doesn't make any sense.
I think they
they underachieve.
I think they might have been the best red zone team in football last year too, which just kind of compounds all of the chaos to it. There's a couple of other key spots I want to get Brady's early thoughts on. A really important one in the AFC South with the Colts and the Jaguars, and a Sunday nighter that is a double. Gotta have it spot. We will break those down. Update the live board as well on SportsGrid.
When LeBron James decides he's retiring, it is coming with trumpets blaring, Adam Silver by his side, and he is going on a state-by-state, coast-to-coast tour so that everyone can acknowledge how great he was and give him a parting gift and thank him for his amazing contributions to the NBA.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Look at Nikola Jokic. He had kind of gotten himself off to a slow start at the beginning of the year, but that was partially because of that 50-point game that Aaron Gordon had, or it was the Jamal Murray had a big game. But these last 6 or 7 games, he's been putting up video game stats. His 62.8% from the floor would be the best in, I think, 3 or 4 years.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
It's stunning to think that, right? And I had the over on the win total, or going into the year with the Patriots, it was 8.5. I thought they could win 10 games. They've already won 10 games. And that is a stunning turnaround, to go from worst to first here. And they're not the only team that could do it. The Jaguars could do it too. They are right on that precipice here if they handle their business against the Titans the next couple weeks and, at least split between the Indianapolis Colts, those 2 games.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Back at the right here on SportsGrid. We got a few of these good college games live right now. Low scoring, dominant early effort from Sparty on Iowa. Syracuse leading Tennessee at home, and a back and forth, little lower paced game right now with Duke and Florida. NBA slate off and running, high scoring between the Sixers and the Wizards, just getting underway with the Raptors and the Blazers. We're joined by Brady Cannon talking through some of the key spots in the NFL on a Tuesday. Want to get some early looks, what Brady thinks of these numbers, how these perhaps could move throughout the week. Colts Jaguars, Brady, 1.5 Indianapolis on the road. I wasn't surprised by the number. But I think there's a lot to think about with it. What did you think about Jacksonville and Indy?
I thought the number was a little light. I made the Colts 3.
Okay.
And there is a big difference between 1.5 and 3. There's not a huge difference between 1.5 and 2.5. So maybe, it'll go up to 2.5. There's again, not a whole lot of difference between those two numbers. When you get to 3, it makes a big deal. And I can understand wanting to take Jacksonville getting 3. We hear the old cliche, these are two teams headed in opposite directions. Indianapolis, of course, has lost 2 in a row. The Jaguars have won, I believe, 3 in a row. With some good wins, too, on the road in the role of road favorite. That is uncommon territory for Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars to be succeeding in those situations. The defense has really come around. But it could be a buy low, sell high spot because everybody's now doubting Indianapolis. The thing is, though, they have always struggled for what seems like a decade. They have always struggled at Jacksonville. So, what's that worth? Is that worth a 0.5 point? Maybe. That one's hard for me, Kevin. I'm not going to necessarily run to the window and bet Jacksonville catching 1.5. I'd probably be inclined to lay it with Indy.
Yeah, I think similarly to last week against Houston, and I'll probably end up not playing the side, but that's how I felt about the Colts against Houston. I thought it was a fine Houston spot, but I thought it was a Colts number. I settled on the Colts team total, didn't get there. It is what it is. It happens where I look at this and it's like, yeah, probably light based on what we know of Indianapolis. Everything's trending in the wrong direction right now.
Yeah.
Different situation for Houston, though, Brady, who go to Arrowhead. But the Chiefs at home have been a completely different team. The Texans, though, have won 4 in a row. We know what the defense is. Chiefs have a banged-up offensive line. What do you make of this one early?
I didn't know what to do with this one, Kevin. I was bouncing around between Chiefs -2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. I settled on 2.5. And I had a lot of questions, and I finally said, okay, I'm going to make it 2.5. I'm not going to go to 3. Definitely not going to 3.5. 2's too light. I settled on 2.5, and then I see that it opens 3.5. I go, oh my gosh, here we go again with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think it's probably a little bit of protection by the books because they know they always get Chiefs money and they always probably get even more Chiefs money when Patrick Mahomes and company are at home and their backs against the wall and this and that and the other. I would say the true number is 2.5 or 3. The Chiefs are at home are probably overall maybe a better team. I don't know. They're just not the Chiefs that we're used to. I don't think they're really anything close to that. And and the Texans, that defense is absolutely for real. The offense is suspect. And I think Spagnuolo and company, they are familiar enough with that offense that they can slow it down to a great degree. The defense for the Texans can absolutely slow down Mahomes. I would say I like my number of 2.5. 3.5, yeah, I'd probably take it.
So there's one other game I wanted to ask you about and it's a little off the beaten path game. It's Vegas and Denver. But
yeah.
So let me start with this. What did you make that game?
Yeah, I don't know if I was dead wrong or dead right, but I made it 10.
Okay, so this is the funny. All right, so that makes me feel better. I looked at it. I said, and I kind of write it. I'm like, could this be 10? Right? And then I remembered they just played in Denver.
Yeah,
and
they
it was
did.
10.
About a month ago.
Right. So it's like this could be shorter. But and again, I'm not scared to bet terrible teams. I bet the Jets every week. I mean, they're also, they're good.
And they've won a few times lately. Yeah.
I asked myself, what number would I need to bet Vegas in this game? And I think it was 13.5. And it's 7.5. It doesn't mean I'm betting Denver, Brady, but we get to points, especially this late in the calendar, where unless I am getting something that is just completely out of whack, I won't do it. And that's how I feel about Vegas against Denver.
The only thing I think keeping me from running to the window immediately, and I may get there, is the Las Vegas Raiders' complete ownership of the Broncos for the last few seasons. And I don't know what it is, but they were 8-0 against this team not that long ago. Finally, when Sean Payton came around, they've beaten the Raiders a couple of times, albeit last time barely, 10-7 at home in Mile High. But I tell you, this Raiders team, I think, is an absolute mess, Kevin. A lot of people like them catching 10 last week at Los Angeles. I didn't. The Chargers made it look easy. I just think this team is an absolute wreck right now. Denver, as I expected, had a little bit of a slip out of their bye, nearly lost that game, did not cover against Washington, as we know. But now they got through that, and they still came out on top. There will probably be more orange in the stadium here in Las Vegas than silver and black. I don't think there's a home field advantage. I was definitely surprised. I thought for sure it would be double digits. I was very surprised to see it at less than double digits. I may be betting Denver. I think they'll probably they should crush the Raiders. And I know that's what we expect to happen. And people can poke holes in Denver and this and that and the other. The Raiders are the worst option here. It's more about betting against the Raiders than it is saying Denver's really good and they're going to kill them.
Yeah, like that number last week against the Chargers. It was high, didn't care, never considered the Raiders once. Brady, appreciate it as always. We'll close it out after the break.
When LeBron James decides he's retiring, it is coming with trumpets blaring, Adam Silver by his side, and he is going on a state-by-state, coast-to-coast tour so that everyone can acknowledge how great he was and give him a parting gift and thank him for his amazing contributions to the NBA.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Look at Nikola Jokic. He had kind of gotten himself off to a slow start at the beginning of the year, but that was partially because of that 50-point game that Aaron Gordon had, or it was the Jamal Murray had a big game. But these last 6 or 7 games, he's been putting up video game stats. His 62.8% from the floor would be the best in, I think, 3 or 4 years.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
It's stunning to think that, right? And I had the over on the win total, or going into the year with the Patriots, it was 8.5. I thought they could win 10 games. They've already won 10 games. And that is a stunning turnaround, to go from worst to first here. And they're not the only team that could do it. The Jaguars could do it too. They are right on that precipice here if they handle their business against the Titans the next couple weeks and, at least split between the Indianapolis Colts, those 2 games.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
All right, back with right here on SportsGrid, live update in the NBA. Scotty Barnes, certainly not trending towards being king of the court. 6 minutes in, he has a turnover. Can we count that? No points, no rebounds, no shots, no assists. Not great. Not great. Early lead Portland in that one. Early lead Philly up on Washington. Right now, Tyrese Maxey is leading all scorers with 15, tagging on 5 assists. He will certainly be a threat to win tonight's King of the court. Live college basketball, I don't know, man. Michigan State, maybe they're just the greatest three-point defense in the history of the country. Iowa right now, really good three-point shooting team, 3 of 12 from beyond the arc. Give Sparty credit as they are getting the job done here against Iowa as they open up Big Ten play. Tennessee is going to try and scrap out a first-half lead. We'll see. It's 30-29 with under a minute to go in that one. We're at 14 apiece in Duke, Florida, early going here right now. Gators can't get anything to fall from beyond the arc. If they can, watch out. I like this start right now from Florida. On the ice, if you're looking, Senators up on Montreal, in Montreal, 2-1 at the end of the first period. Detroit up on Boston 2-0, as that one has finished its first period as well. Scoreless with the Islanders and the Lightning, 1 apiece between the Rangers and the Stars. We're underway in Florida. The Panthers trail Toronto 2-0 already in that one. What is still to come tonight? A few key spots for myself and for the team as we rack a couple of best bets. Now, some of these are off and running, like our guy Scotty Barnes, who didn't do anything in the first 7 minutes of that game. I thought I was going to maybe sneak out a bucket or something. Cam Whitmore over the 17.5 points in bounds. I have a feeling they don't want this update. Here's the thing. What am I to say? He's got 3. That's 3 more than Scotty Barnes. Notre Dame, Mooney line, rooted in. Going up against Mizzou. Good for momentum. Notre Dame knocking off an SEC team. Outrageous decisions by the committee. And then we got a UConn-Kansas over for Chris as he's going to look to back that total at $142.5. My college basketball card still has a few to go. My favorite is Caleb Wilson over the 9.5 rebounds at plus 135. Make sure you shop around, get the best of that number. Caleb Wilson has only played one team with even remotely as much pace as Kentucky. That's going to uptick the possessions. North Carolina's fast. It was Radford. You're at 14 rebounds in 22 minutes. So you can up the competition, but that workload there is exactly what I'm looking to attack here in a high-tempo game. Total in the $160s. Let's get Caleb Wilson over the rebounds. We are also going to take an Ole Miss team laying 2.5. Now, there is a panhandle parlay going on in the back, which is all the Florida teams on the Mooney line. I believe that would be Gators, Canes, and Seminoles. I'll root it in, right? But once one falls out, I'm back to rooting for Ole Miss. I'm betting Ole Miss. I bet Ole Miss. But I'm a good teammate. That's the thing about old K-Dubs. He's a good teammate. Panhandle parlay also A+ name. So shout out to creator. Florida State, Georgia over the 174.5, shall we? 2 top 10 teams in tempo. That's pretty much all I need to see. I know that may not sound like the greatest cap you've ever heard in the history of college basketball. I quite frankly do not care. That is enough to get me to the window as we are going to look for some points at 174.5 between those teams. I think there's one other game I'm on right now. Nice. OU Wake Forest. Oklahoma is trendy on that team total, sitting at 35 with about a minute to play there. Shout out Syracuse for a halftime lead on Tennessee. We were worried about that one. It's still early, though. Closing it out on a Tuesday night. All right, with the George Mason game in the back. I tell you what, we better have a unit on this. We better have a unit on it. 42-40 at the break. Let's see who's leading scorer. All right, I want all the information. It's an 8-0 George Mason team. Troutman. Masai Troutman having a breakout performance. Jake Fegan on the Cornell side with 13. All right. Live under, anyone? In-game live is next. Make sure you are locked right here on the grid. We will be back with you for a Wednesday edition of Game Time Decisions featuring our target player props. We'll see you then. In-game live next right here on SportsGrid.